Hello, I am Paul Tanner, and I'd like to present to you my MBA 590 solution project, Low Density Multifamily Housing in Underserved Secondary Market. To begin my presentation, I'd like to introduce you to Hayden Homes, my employer. Hayden Homes is a production home builder who, for the past 30 years, has been building thriving communities throughout the Pacific Northwest. The Hayden Homes business model consists of strategic and timely land acquisitions, land development, sales, construction, and customer care well beyond the closing of the home and our customers moving in. Over the years, Hayden Homes has evolved, and somewhat out of necessity after the recession in 2010, Hayden Homes developed a new division called Simplicity by Hayden Homes. Simplicity, like Hayden Homes, offers quality homes at an affordable price. The main difference being that instead of building homes on our land in our neighborhoods, Simplicity builds their homes on your land. Simplicity's ability to leverage Hayden Homes' resources, relationships, and reputation has given them a strong advantage over their competition. Using this advantage, over the past decade, Simplicity has ventured many times into multifamily development for landowners looking to maximize profit on their properties. Simplicity's successes in multifamily development have been the inspiration for my interest in this topic. I hope to be able to show how Hayden Homes can learn from Simplicity's experiences and successfully integrate multifamily units into their communities of production houses. What do I mean by low density multifamily housing? For the intents and purposes of this presentation, we will look at single-family residences with attached ADUs or detached ADUs, duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes. There are many reasons that I believe that these housing types are worth paying attention to. Oregon is in a housing crisis, and it has been for many years. According to the Oregon Statewide Housing Plan, Oregon has fallen short 155,156 units between the years of 2000 and 2015. It is because of this housing shortage that despite high unemployment, rising home prices, and stagnant wages, that housing demand continues to rise. Many factors play into the reason for our housing shortage. One big reason is the recession. Despite a strong and steady recovery over the past decade, construction labor has been sluggish to fully recover to its pre-recession levels. Land use and zoning regulation also plays a large role in the housing crisis that we face in Oregon. Oftentimes, those things that regulators and lawmakers do to help a situation end up making things worse rather than better. However, hope is on the horizon. Oregon is making some changes to remove many of the barriers and to incentivize multifamily housing. One of the greatest barriers that has always existed for low-density multifamily housing has simply been that there aren't very many zoning areas in any given city that allow for it. So, to help with this problem, Oregon has removed all single-family only zoning throughout the state in all cities with populations greater than 10,000. What this means is that in all single-family zones, at least a duplex will be allowed in most of those cities. In many of the larger cities, plans are in process to also allow up to quadplexes in most of these single-family zones. Accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, are another favorite housing type that regulators have focused on. ADUs are great because they offer an opportunity to add density to existing housing. ADUs are small units, usually no more than 50 to 75% of the square footage of the main house. Usually this is capped at somewhere around 900 square feet. These units can either be attached or detached to the main house. They can also be made out of existing space, either an outbuilding already existing on the property, or perhaps a garage conversion. Although ADUs have always been a desirable housing option for increasing density, they've historically been underutilized due to the excessive costs and difficulty of construction connected with municipal codes, planning, fees, and building regulation. Thankfully, regulators have realized these barriers and in most jurisdictions have made changes to remedy them. For example, Medford has removed all system development charges, or SDCs, for ADU permits. This can be a savings of upwards of $5,000. Medford and other cities have also developed a handful of free mastered plan sets that can be approved on the day you come in to get your permit, and they can be issued over the counter, saving you days, weeks, and maybe even months in the design process and thousands in design fees. Formerly restrictive constraints such as parking and public work improvements have also been removed from ADU zoning requirements. Other planning, zoning, and development regulations that are currently being considered to help reduce the barriers to much needed development are things like lot area minimums, coverage factors, minimum lot dimensions, building heights, and setbacks. These are all factors that need to be considered as we look to solutions to create consistency and clarity in housing development. Another contributing factor to our housing crisis can also be considered an opportunity for housing production. Inbound migration has been on the rise over the past several years. Obviously, for a state like Oregon, whose housing supply is already under such a burden, inbound migration poses a serious threat to existing demand. However, as we consider the many changes on the state level to help remedy the barriers to housing production, we can see a great opportunity arising. A few additional factors to consider in the case for multifamily housing are: first, financing. Financing can both incentivize and disincentivize housing production. Luckily, financing for low-density multifamily housing has always been fairly within reach for many small investors. Generally, loans are available for housing projects that are up to 4 units. But once housing projects go to 5 units and beyond, those loans become commercial and are much more difficult to get into. Another financial factor that influences the housing market is interest rates. Interest rates influence everything from who can buy to what type of housing is in demand, the amenities that builders offer, housing size, and even where people move. A second factor to consider is unemployment. This is an especially important factor when considering multifamily housing production, because everyone needs a home, but external factors such as unemployment can be the deciding factor in what kind of housing individuals and families need. These factors lead us into housing trends that support multifamily development. An important trend to consider is that size matters. Contrary to popular belief, living small is often more desirable than living large. A common building practice is to maximize square footage because as houses get larger, square foot costs get lower. However, each additional square foot is not as equally valuable as the last. At a certain square footage, which changes from region to region, we begin to see diminishing returns for each additional square foot. Therefore, building houses that are just the right size, with just the right amenities, is more important than simply building big. In a study of the average sizes of rental units throughout the United States, we find that on average, renters expect nothing more than housing units somewhere between 800 and 900 square feet. This information is helpful in considering necessary design standards for multifamily housing that will also be desirable in the marketplace. The way rental rates are determined is influential to multifamily housing design. Rental rates are largely based on bedrooms, not square footage. With this in mind, it is possible to maximize rent per bedroom while minimizing costs per square foot. For example, it is possible to fit 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms into a mere 750 square feet with creative design. This is in contrast to the average 1,300 square feet that is typically associated with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. This obviously translates into a substantial savings opportunity not only for construction costs, but also for management and maintenance costs. This cost savings is almost exclusively related to multifamily housing, because these same saving opportunities do not always translate the same with single-family residences. Let's now look at a cost-benefit analysis for a multifamily unit. These numbers are based on my experience managing construction and specifically closely follow costs that I experience with my current employer. The average cost of construction, not including land, for a 1,300 square foot, 3-bed, 2-bath house is about $95 a square foot. The cost for a 750 square foot, 3-bed, 2-bath house is about $115 per square foot. Between these two houses, there is a potential for a total construction savings of about $37,000. With reductions in building footprint, other savings are also possible. With the current changes in regulation and land use making things more flexible, 2 to 4 units could be built in the same place as one. More opportunities also exist for owner occupancies in one unit while the other unit is rented to help cover the costs of mortgages. By building multiple units, there is a cost savings of approximately 20%. This is based on economies achieved by mass ordering, consolidation of resources, and concentration of labor. Therefore, if we take a 750 square foot unit, multiply it by 4, we will end up with 3,000 square feet. If we say that this is $115 per square foot to construct, we end up with a total construction cost of $345,000. But if we consider the 20% discount for building multiple units, together we will see that there is an opportunity for around $69,000 in savings. But if we compare this construction of a quadplex comprised of 4 750 square foot units to the construction of a quadplex of similar 3-bed, 2-bath units, but that are each 1,300 square feet, we see that a construction cost savings of $119,000 can be achieved while maintaining a very similar income potential. This table is meant to demonstrate the cost-benefit analysis just described. It shows profitability can be achieved through reductions in square footage while adding additional units. Obviously, this does not cover all cost savings available. Savings in land development become especially pronounced as the new rules and deregulations around low-density multifamily housing become available. As I mentioned early on in this presentation, Simplicity by Hayden Homes has already begun the process of offering multifamily housing as a part of their product lineup. The King Duplex is an example of what they offer. Unfortunately, it's the only product that they advertise. While they will redesign other existing house plans to accommodate multifamily products, it adds additional costs. What I suggest is the ultimate cost-benefit opportunity lies with Hayden Homes offering low-density multifamily products that can be constructed within their pre-designed communities. Because Hayden Homes develops their own lots based on the products that they offer, they have the opportunity to ensure that the lots are specifically designed so that they will accommodate these highly profitable units. The final benefit that I would like to mention for offering low density multifamily housing within Hayden Homes communities is that it helps to make Hayden Homes recession resilient. During economic downturns, the residential sector of construction is often one of the hardest hit. By producing multifamily along with single family residences, Hayden Homes creates a hedge against the inevitable instability within the housing market. Thank you for your attention. Attached here are references used in this presentation.